Welcome back. And next on the stage is Werner, and I'm just wondering what should I say about Werner. I think he doesn't need an introduction. Everyone knows Werner, and I think we wouldn't have a community without Werner. Besides all his voluntary work, and he also helped me with this TribeCon, he's also a freelance developer, and if you have a big Silverstripe issue or PHP issue, just call Werner. Thomas and I sometimes have the problem that he has too much knowledge and tells us all about his knowledge, but here we want to have your knowledge on the stage. The stage is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, my talk is about better PHP, so how to keep your code up to date. So that's it. Basically, who am I? Andy said a lot. I'm Werner. My nickname on Slack is WMK. I'm a freelancer and I'm living in Austria, in the wonderful town of Bad Ischl in the Salzkammergut. Originally, I am coming from my Lower Bavarian home country, Lower Bavaria in Germany. But yeah, now I'm in Austria. I'm making PHP pretty long and also Silverstripe now since 2009. And yeah, you can, of course, book me if you have any problems with your Silverstripe sites. So what's actually the big problem for us, for PHP developers, for Silverstripe developers? One thing is we get a new version of PHP every year, which is pretty cool because the language evolves. It always becomes more major and more enterprise ready, whatever. So it's not the same PHP like we had years ago. Not even the same PHP like we had 5 or 6 years ago. It got so many new features, many cool features, many useful features, cool and nice techniques, but yeah, somehow we are still stuck with older PHP versions, at least I am, and also Silverstripe was, so when Silverstripe 4 came out, we still were stuck to PHP 5.6, and that's, yeah, I didn't like that decision back then. And yeah, so we sometimes have older installations or we maintain modules that should run with older installations. That's sometimes a bit of a problem, or we just don't have time for workshops to know all these cool and new features we could use somehow. And well, okay. Yeah. So what's new in PHP? Where should the way go? There. And well, let's dive into it. And I don't want just to tell you, yeah, this and that is new. I think I made some old style code. And yeah, do you see anything you could write better now or more in a more modern kind of stuff? Any ideas? What do you think? What could we improve from this here? Yeah? Yeah, we could make more typing here, yes. So we could say private static. What could we write? Array could, yeah, we could do here private static array, something like that. Missing clothing? No. Yeah, the config annotation, very good. Yeah, that's also missing here somehow. Because we have, that's a config variable. That's right. So with this config annotation, tools like PHP Stan or even our IDEs, PHP Storm, knows this isn't an unused variable. We could skip somewhere. So it's a config for configuration. Yeah. Anything in here that's the return type, of course, yeah, get CMS fields. We can add a return type, which is field list. Any other ideas? Unused variable. Oh yeah, okay, yeah, I didn't use this variable. Yeah, we could add it, yeah, we could add it to the field list when it's not unused anymore, yeah. Fields, add field to tab, root main. Main? No, not main, node. Okay. So, any other ideas? Yes, we could remove the if here, and then we could use here the null save operator. Yes, we can make it like this. That's cool. So the null save operator here, that's very cool. The next function, there's also a short syntax for this operator here, which is a bit more readable. I can replace what? Yeah, we could place the literal field directly inside, yeah. I could use create over here instead of new. That's also more silver stripey. So to use this. Also here is a short syntax. Yeah, we could here remove the if and make this null coalesce assign. I think it's this one. Data user ID is, yeah, and we could remove this here. Yeah. And get it directly in the return statement. Yes. So now I have to redo it for the practical example later on. So so not this one. Yeah, that's doesn't matter. Yeah, at the beginning. Okay, yeah. So we have a namespace here. Yes. Here I have a helper class for something for the events. Anything you see here, we could make more modern. Yeah, the constant can also make a string here. Yes, constant string hiking, something like that. Yeah. So also the constants now have a type. Yes, here the return type again. Yeah, what's the return type of this method? Yeah, we could add return type string. Yeah, we can also type the event that we want an event data object here as a type. So event is not a really good class name. So we could say here that we want this type as an input type. We can replace the switch with match. Yeah, one could replace the switch with a match, but I don't want to type it right now here. You could also change the entire class to an enum. One could change the entire class to an enum, yes. So different stuff. I will undo it, everything more later. Yes. And there are also some other stuffs here. So this is some kind of sorting functions for sorting stuff. Yeah, we don't use PHP sorting so much. We sort in the database already. Yeah. So there's also something pretty cool for that. So yeah, I will undo it again. Yes. So yeah, some stuff changed in PHP. Most of us know in the different types. So with PHP 7, the return types were introduced and typed parameters. With PHP 7.1, they also became nullable. And this type system evolved in the last 5 and 6 years. So now we also have typed properties in the methods. And right now we also have union types and intersection types. So we can even type it more finer. So if we want something that is both a buyable and a digital product, we can say this product returns me a digital buyable product. So this intersection type. That's pretty modern. What else? We have some more syntactic sugars, some cool operators. We saw a lot of them right now. So the null coalesce operator came in PHP 7 that it returns. It makes, yeah, so we don't have to check for array key exist and then make this value that already exists or our default num value. We can just say result should be that key or whatever if it exists or the default value. I think that's much more readable. And with 7.4 we got the null coalesce assignment operator, which also cleans our code a little bit, makes it more readable. What else? Some sort of Star Trek. Yeah, we had a lot of Star Trek in the morning talk. So what's the Star Trekky thing in PHP built in? It's the spaceship operator, yes. So for for sorting methods, spaceship operator, so when you want to sort something, you say, does this item become first or last, or is it equal? When it's first, you return -1. When it comes after the others, you return 1. And if it's equal, you return a 0. And yeah, before the red stuff in the code example, it was a bit of code you always had to remember. And with the spaceship operator, you say this first, this last, and it's okay. And the spaceship operator can even sort more parameters at once. So this other example taken from the PHP documentation, if you want to sort a list by last name and then by first name, it's a pretty simple explanation. It's a simple piece of code. You say this last name, first name compared to that last name, first name. So that's the spaceship operator. What else? The null self operator that came with PHP 8. I really like it because, like in the example before, you get a field out of the CMS fields and you want to add a description or you want to change this field, and if somehow this field gets lost because another extension now removes this field, or the field is renamed or whatever, you suddenly have a pretty ugly runtime error. And with this null self operator, yeah, it's safe. What else do we have? We have new string methods. So like string contains. So before we had to check in string position, in string pos, is it false? We had to actually check against false, not string pos 0. That would be, it starts with the string, but we had to check it against false. And now we just can have this cool method, string contains, and we can check if a string is contained in another string. And the other methods, string starts with, string ends with, and those methods are even more efficient and easier to use than the good old string pause. So if anyone is romantic or in love, we also have something for that. We had it before. I didn't want to type it because it's a match. And yeah, the match method, the match construct, it replaces if-else change or switch statements. It's type safe compared to switch. And yeah, it's kind of a lookup table. And yeah, it also makes a more compressed and better readable code without much clutter in it. Arrow functions for the more functional types, pretty somewhat similar to arrow functions in JavaScript. So if you need a small function, you could make it in an arrow function instead of a closure or instead of another function you put somewhere in, like with this array filter, array map, whatever. And we got some new built-in interfaces like stringable or iterable, stuff like this. So when we have a method toString in an object, then we can tell the class, hey, you have this interface, and then the other code knows, okay, this object has the interface stringable and I can work with it. In the latest PHP, we also got named arguments in methods and in functions, parameters. So we can say, until before, it was like the order of the arguments is very important. And maybe your IDE told you the first argument is for this and the second argument is for that, or you knew it, but the code wasn't really readable. And with named arguments, the order isn't important anymore. And you say, hey, this argument called type, use this, and the argument amount, use that value. And it's for more flexible code and for better readability. Maybe when you scan the code in GitHub in the repository, you don't have all these nice features from your IDE. And yeah, so one example would be like with array fill. So you say start index, count, and value, so you know what's all these numbers in, what's that good for. Or when you just want to change the second or the third parameter and the rest should be standard default values, you just say, yeah, make yogurt, style natural, and whatever, and the container and the flavor will still be the default stuff. Yeah, and with constructor property promotion, you can also save pretty much boilerplate code. So you don't have to define the property in your class, and you don't have to set the property. You just say, yeah, in your construct method, that's a public float with this default value, and yeah, it will be there automatically. And PHP 8.1.2, so now we also have attributes that are not used yet in Silverstripe world, but that will replace some kind of attributes that will replace the what's the name for the root? Yeah, annotations. So stuff we had with annotations before are now more baked in by the attributes, and that's more this metadata that can be accessed live by the reflection API. So that will come for stuff. So we have a lot of new stuff, and in Austria my colleague here says always fauler, ede fauler, which can be translated to English like IT stuff is pretty lazy. And yeah, why are we lazy? We don't want to make all this repetitive, boring work all the time, and that's why we create cool tools to make our life more easier, and we can automate stuff like this. So what do we have in our toolbox? We have the IDE annotator to make all these nice annotations for the IDE when we have parameters in our DB has one variables and so on. PHP code sniffer is the annoying tool that tells me when I don't code like the coding style wants me to code. PHP unit for unit testing. PHP stand for static analysis, for finding bugs before you even run the code. And there's a new tool on the block that's Rector PHP. Anyone already heard about it or used it yet? Yes? Some people over there? Cool stuff, yeah. Okay. And Rector is actually your friend for updating code. So you can get your code updated automatically and pretty safe, and it's much, much better than search replace in your code. Why? Because Rector tries to understand your code. It uses the so-called abstract syntax tree. So it analyzes your PHP code, and it knows when it finds somewhere the string foo and you want to replace it with bar or whatever, so it can check, is foo a class name, is it a variable name, is it content inside a string or whatever. And yeah, so you can define the rules, the so-called rectors, what you want to upgrade, in which way. And yeah, you can upgrade language features, you can upgrade stuff in code quality when you want to rework your stuff. You can upgrade, there are special rectors for upgrading PHP unit. They also changed a lot from the old PHP unit we used in Silverstripe 4 now to the newer PHP units that work with PHP 8 and so on. So that's this toolbox. And if you want to make something really special, you can define your own rectors and try to make it work. So installation with Rector is pretty boring. You can install it as a composer development dependency, and it comes all in as a big monolithic bundle, which has the big advantage it doesn't interfere with your code. So it's totally dependency free and it works out of the box. Then you need to create a configuration file, the Rector PHP file, and tell it where are the directories you want to update the code, what rules should be taken, or what kind of lists do you want. So you don't have to say this rule, that rule, and so on, but there are lists like update to PHP 8.0, or some level set lists. Oops, that was one too fast. Some level set list, then you say, yeah, update everything from the past to this PHP version or whatever. So how about Rector in combination with Silverstripe CMS? And yes, there are some rules, especially for Silverstripe. I created a package called Silverstripe Rector, and I started with it with some few rectors and configurations for upgrading Silverstripe. And yeah, currently it's work in progress. So far, I have made a rector for adding the table name property to data objects. If they're missing, I forget them all the time, and yeah, I want to automate this task. So if the table name is missing, it will be created for you. And I also prefer the create method over new, because then you can use the injector to add stuff for this for this field or whatever. And yeah, even that can be automated. So if it's an injectable class, then use create. And any other classes, use new, of course. Yeah, PHP stand can also be pretty annoying when you start with it. And yeah, I made a rector or a configuration to change owner to get owner, because with get owner, PHP stand can understand what it will return, and just owner, it's some kind of a magic property for a PHP stand. And I add a configurable rector for adding these config properties. So PHP stand won't complain all the time, hey, that's an unused variable. I don't like that. So that's like this. Yeah. So let's go. Let's try it here. Here I made the Rector PHP file. It's basically, yeah, it's configuration in PHP. So we can say the Rector config, which path do we want to change? We can set some kind of auto-loading. We can either register single rectors if we want, or we can upgrade by a set of rules. So Rector itself comes with level set lists that make everything up to something, like up to PHP 8.0. They have some stuff for code quality or some stuff for coding style, like early return, inline variables, or whatever. One could also say, yeah, please skip this directory or this rules. And for Silverstripe, yeah, we can add our rules manually, or I made some Silverstripe set lists and level set lists that are actually pretty empty, but the structure is already here. Some rules can also be configured for your project. So like, yeah, if you want to add something, like here this add config properties rector I made, you can say, yeah, my class has this and that configs, and I want to add them. And then it's actually basically running, yeah, vendor bin rector, the code. And with the try run parameter, it won't change your code right now, but it will output what it will change with 4 files, and it makes a lot. And what did it change all the time? Everywhere. So here in page and site tree, it added configs and the table name page, even if it's not used, but page is a subclass of data object and doesn't have a table name set. Yeah, it made public const hiking, so it said it's a public constant. It changed the switch to a match. It made the spaceship operator like that. What more here? Here it made an arrow function inline. And here it says, yeah, which rectors got actually used for this. So it tells you what did it change, which vectors got used. For some reason it made a double config here. Here it made a create statement automatically for the literal field. Here the Elvis operator. Yeah, so that's it. How you can automate it with Rector, all the stuff. So, what more possible future for Silverstripe Rector if anyone wants to help with it? Of course, I would like to track deprecations in Silverstripe. When it's clear that there's a deprecation, use this instead of that, then we can automate it. Then that could be done. I actually read through all the changelogs. The newer changelogs are pretty clear and well structured. The oldest changelogs from Silverstripe 4.1 are a bit more, to guess. But yeah, there's so many stuff changed I never used, and I don't know if it's useful for others. So yeah, that would be cool to have some feedback. What kind of changes can be automated or are really useful? It could also be for module deprecations. I know there's a bulk manager changed the way it was used some years ago, and now when I update a project, it still annoys me that I have to change it manually, and I have to upgrade it manually. Of course, for Silverstripe code style, we could make some rectors. So I like the newer syntax for sorting of a filtering data lists, to have it in an array. I think it's more understandable, and also this could be automated. If we have a sort with 2 parameters, put it in an array and make it there. Of course, yeah, I need help. So how can we make a new rule for this Rector configuration for Silverstripe Rector? First would be, have an idea what can be changed or what should be changed. Then write a test. With Rector, it's very easy to write a test, like this is the current state, this is the state how it should be. Then you either have to configure it if there is already a Rector rule to use, or you have to write it yourself. Add it to a set, to an update set list, and then you're done. So that's a theoretical background. However, we also heard it this morning, the future is here, it's already here, and I think for stuff like this, the future is automated. So, thank you very much.
Thank you, Werner. And you were very fast. You reached your end, yeah? So you have some minutes for questions, if you have any questions.
Thanks, Werner. Do you have a recommendation when to actually run this? I mean, do you only run it when updating legacy code bases, or would you say it's good to do this even in a commit hook or before every major deployment? What is your take on that?
Yes. At the moment, I run it manually quite often, but of course, it can be in your CI pipeline. And others said, they trust it so much that you can make automated commits with it. So once it's configured well, and you know it doesn't interfere with your code. For bigger upgrades, it's better to not use a big level set list that changes too much at once, but make Rector by Rector, then you can review the code and see what it changed. And once your project is in a good state, you can say, use this level set list for latest code. And then when a freelancer like me comes to your code and uses old style in the CI process, it will be made more modern again. And of course, it's good because your code base is better, and your teammates or you will learn new stuff, how it can be coded in a more modern and in a better way.
Thank you. Other question?
Questions,
I just wanted to add my 2 cents because I think Rector is, it's amazing, first place. Have there been any talks to the folks over at Silverstripe yet to make this a more integral part of the new versions being released? Because I think this is the thing that Silverstripe is missing the most. I think some of us here will remember the pain going from Silverstripe 3 to 4. Luckily 4 to 5 is a lot less. But if this tool was there and if the rule set was there, that would have been so great. Is there any sort of contact there? Is there any?
I had the first contacts or the first questions to help me, but yeah, not yet a big response.
Okay, I really hope they pick this up because I think this is such a great and productive tool to use. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to add to that.
Yeah, but also when you have any stuff you always see in your code upgrades, you can share your knowledge or say, hey, this and that would be great, or configure your own rectors for that, and then hopefully it should be a good tool for the community.
Yes, I think Max is still awake and he's hearing you. So we will speak with him. So, but also one of the main topics at this conference is to add more contributions to Silverstripe with our community. Guy will talk about this tomorrow, so maybe you can make a project of it. Thank you, Werner. If there are no more questions, then we... Oh,
On the left.
Jan. Yes. Sorry. One more.
Yeah, Silverstripe consists of more than just PHP, of course. So it's also templates, YAML files, and stuff like that. I tried to automate upgrading from 4 to 5 as much as possible for us, but with Rector, you obviously can only do the PHP part. Have you found a way to also look at the other files or file types and do stuff there?
Not myself. Theoretically, you could also upgrade YAML files. And I know for Typo 3, they also made a way to upgrade the templates, but that's a bit over my horizon, not over my knowledge. And I didn't upgrade YAML files yet automatically. But there is, either with Rector or with another tool from that ecosystem, you could check in the YAML files, does this class actually exist? You're trying to configure in YAML, so that would be a cool helper.
Okay, thank you very much, Werner, for this in-depth talk.